think back every day to what happened at Pine Ridge campgrounds. It haunts me. I'm on edge every day thinking that I might see it again. The disgusting, mangled, lanky being that roamed the woods. I don't even want to think of its name, but I knew its name all too damn well. Siren Head, the monster. First the cashier, then Ben, Alex, and Kyle. How many other lives had that thing taken that nobody knew about? I thought. We were back in Maryland after our hellish trip to upstate New York. Post and kill. The location of Pine Ridge campgrounds. We all thought it'd just be a normal camping trip. Hell no. That place was off-putting from the beginning, to say the least. The sickly smell of pine trees and the empty, endless forest are still ingrained into my head. He chased us down the 2-lane road. I don't even know for how long. At inhuman speed, the siren had chased us. Bradley was bleeding and it was dark at night. Noah sped up. The sirens wailed at the highest level. It was deafening. We can't escape him. It's too late. Siren Head won't stop, I yelled. We have to try, Noah replied while handing me the gun he used to shoot off one of the sirens. I racked the slide of the slightly rusted 1911 and pointed it out the truck window, pulling the trigger as rapidly as I could. But the thing kept going. Taking another mag of 45, I powered off more and more until the demon to no avail. We can't take him out, I yelled to Noah. Fuck! What do we do? Yelled Bradley, still panicking and bleeding. I've got an AR under the seat. Get it out, replied Noah, still dodging the monster's attacks. Opening up the crate under the seat, I pulled out an XM177 and loaded it. This better do something, I said. I fired off the thing in semi-auto. He stopped. We drove off at 80 miles per hour. Siren Head, standing still in front of the motel. He didn't follow us past it. He stood, almost staring us down as we sped more. I almost felt that the thing was mocking us, chasing us down and letting us go with the old motel. We took Bradley to the ER. He suffered organ damage and needed surgery from the attack. We told the police what happened. They ended up filing a missing persons report for the Pine Ridge and decided to do a full investigation of the grounds. I still remember the traumatizing news report the following week. Following multiple missing persons reports this year and this week in the wilderness of New York, police have discovered a very grisly sight. Pine Ridge Campgrounds is now under federal investigation after decades of missing persons and reported nuclear sirens playing from the area with no actual sirens in the post and kill town. We now hand this over to lead Police Chief Officer Brody. It is truly a sight to behold here. We have, in fact, found over 200 bodies from the last 60 years. This was searching from the new camp as well as the forest and the old campground. Some of these people, identified at least, have been here since 1968. We've decided to enact a full closing of Pine Ridge after we discovered a very recent and grotesque murder of 3 college-age students. We're going to work with the witnesses and find out the next steps to the causes of this. I visited Bradley with Noah. He was still in critical condition. They said he may need replacement kidneys from where he was impaled. He sat there, stuck in a coma, silent, like he was dead. We have to stop him. We can't let him hurt anyone else, I told Noah. What are we going to do? He's invincible, a god, said Noah. If you have more guns, we can kill him, can't we? There has to be a way. Kyle, Alex, Ben, are we going to let them die for nothing, I said. You think us 2 with guns are going to kill Siren Head? I'm with you on avenging our friends, but it's impossible, said Noah. We've got to try, I said. So, at the end of the day, I convinced him. We need to put an end to this. We need to kill Siren Head and revenge our friends. Otherwise, only more people will be killed by that monster. Continue on the New Jersey Turnpike for 38 miles, the GPS said to us. It was cold and wet, a typical New York spring. When we get there, we're going to meet up with some people. They've been trying to find out what happened at the camp for years. They're ex-cops trying to do something about this place, said Noah. Good. We need all the guns and help we can get, I said, half listening, half looking out the window at the endless highway. After some hours in Noah's beat-up Tacoma, we arrived. Back at that damn hellspawn, Pine Ridge Campgrounds. Condemned, read the Evergreen Woods sign. Outside the main parking lot was a Jeep. 5 men stepped out, each with a pistol or shotgun in their arms. One man stepped up from the group. Nice to see you arrived, smirked one of the men. He was wearing an 80s Marine helmet in black, with a vest of shotgun shells. Nice to see you here, answered Noah. Logan, this is Clark. He's an ex-Marine and a state trooper for New York. He's been on the job in this area, post and kill, for 15 years. And I sure have heard plenty of those sirens. I came face to face with that thing. You're not alone here. Everybody who died in those woods died to that thing. He flipped my car when I was on patrol, said Clark. We're going to find him and kill him. Or at least try, he said. It was so surreal being back. It had only been 2 weeks, and it was so memorable, but forgotten. What once was just a simple camping trip between us friends getting out of college for spring break turned into me returning to a place equivalent to hell. With all we have, 7 of us and guns, trying to kill Siren Head. Knowing that he was there watching us at this very moment was enough to make me lose it. He doesn't attack during the day, but come nightfall, hell opens up. Let's head on in then, said Clark, priming his Remington. We stomped in, up the hill, to the farther campsites. We had to find Siren Head, but he already found us. I knew this all too well, since I went out the motel to pay for the rooms. Then the massive footprints, the hike, the music that played from nowhere. How many times had I missed him watching me? Did he follow us back home even? It chilled me to the bone. It was 2 p.m., afternoon. We had maybe 3 hours of daylight left. We needed to find a way to kill him. Maybe find where he came from, and end it, here. We continued to the top of the hill where we last saw Kyle. Are you sure we can kill this thing? I asked Clark. If buckshot means jack shit, then I hope we can, he replied. I could hear a little doubt in his voice, but we all had doubts about this whole operation. With my legs sore, we made it to the top. The view I so remembered from before. In a way, it was beautiful, but uncanny and sinister. We peered over the treetops and looked north. See that tower out there? That's the old watchtower from the old camp. Yeah, the owners of this place don't really like telling people what happened to that place. Cultist bastards. That's what happened. Back in 1982, these crackheads, with blood all over their clothes, were found in the camp when police responded to the scene. Not one survivor. Whole camp shredded. We were never able to get the stains off the floors. So they built a new camp, said Clark in a tense tone. People worship this thing? I asked. Yeah, just as much as they worship Satan or the Wendigo, and so be it, said one of the men in the group. Stories got it that back in 1880, immigrants from some European province came over here. They were not accepted by anybody in the city due to being different. Had a hinge loosers, too. They built a town in Postonkill. Matter of fact, they named it Postonkill. Most of the cultists are long dead. The town itself was sunken into the ground. It's under layers of dirt. They were behind the 1982 massacre, or at least what the public knows. People don't want to believe in the boogeyman, so they come up with an explanation for it. Those cultists aren't the only ones who killed all those people, said the same man. If we're going to find this urban legend, we might as well go back to where it started. Postonkill, as it was called. This is exactly how our movie starts, said Noah, as we headed down the faded path. Trampling the dirt and dodging the overgrowth, we made it through the middle zone. The middle zone was a forest between the old camp and the new one, a mile worth of woods. The trees shadowed the overgrowth below. It was getting dark. All the men drew their guns out quickly. They looked around the surrounding tree area. Nothing. We kept our guns out and kept walking.
Brad? Logan, is that you? Is that you? Is that you? Is that you? Is that you?
The voice of Alex became distorted beyond comprehensible English. It was him, Siren Head. He was in here with us. It was still day, but not for long. Down the sliver left of road we walked on, we arrived. A sign was posted. Pine Ridge Camp, Postonkill, New York. The whole place was off, eerie and broken, as if the whole world ended. We walked past the brush and got into the old campground. We'll sleep in these 2 cabins, taking turns on the night watch. Stand inside and look out the windows. I don't want anybody outside, said Clark. The sign on one cabin was labeled Mess Hall. I walked in with a flashlight, clearing the room as Noah's 1911 in my hand. I almost threw up. There was a stain in the kitchen, a dried, red stain. I shut the door to the kitchen and decided to sleep in the dining area, fairly clean at least compared to the blood. I decided to lie down on the table and dozed off. The man stood at the dusty front window, layered with cobwebs and water stains. He held his Beretta in his right hand, looking silently at the dark outdoors. Then, a voice.
Hello? Hello? Terry, where are you? Our daughter's here. Terry, please come here. We miss you so much. Come here, Terry. We want to see you.
Terry left his guard post, tricked by the Siren Head. He opened the door and stumbled down the wood stairs. He had a tear on his face. I know it's not you, but I need to hear your voice. It's been so long, said Terry, weakly. He stood in the barely moonlit road of the camp.
Terry, it's me. Me.
The voice deepened to a low rumble. Branches cracked around the mess hall and office cabins. He revealed himself, the same demon who caused this all, the same demon who tricked other people and lured them to their own deaths by using words of their loved ones. Terry racked his pistol and fired 8 shots. The Siren Head recoiled, still playing the distorted songs in audio. The clawed hand grabbed Terry and up. The singular megaphone left on the siren opened to reveal the mouth inside. Terry stared into the faceless mouth of the beast as it ripped his head off and devoured him. Siren Head dropped his body to the road and stumbled off, crashing into the trees. We all rushed outside and stared at what had just conspired. He was a good man. He tried to stop him, too, Noah brandishing his XM, scanning the trees for movement. As we slept, all I heard was a static track from a 1920s song. Next morning we buried Terry and continued searching the woods. We came across an old wooded trail. The sign read, Postonkill. This is it, the original town, buried under soil, said Clark. We entered the area full of dead trees and surveyed the place. Left standing was a church building and a single totem with a rope tied to it. Large depressions laid around the area, sunken houses from a long time before. We stared at the totem. What we found was sickening. Tied to the pole with lashings was a fresh, gutted bear, spilling its vial on the ground. It couldn't be more than a few days old, said Clark. We stepped into the church. It wasn't Christian nor Catholic or even Protestant. There were carvings on all the walls, carvings of people and animals, strange cryptic symbols, and laid jagged behind them. An altar, a carving of Siren Head, eating a human while standing on a grassy field. This is it, the old town, the cultist town. They really did worship him. Just how far back does this monster go? Before 1880? Before Christ? I said to the group. Probably ancient, I thought. We're going to burn this place down, I said. Clark pulled out a match and dropped it on the church. It went out instantly. We kept trying, but the church couldn't be burnt down. We decided to return to the camp. It was dark already, but we're not going to stay in that. We started to run in the night with our lights. He was there, behind us. We picked up speed, but he did as well. Hide, I yelled. We all dashed behind the large pines with our guns out. Gunfire from shotguns and pistols went off. The sirens wailed and we took a chunk off Siren's head arm. With a swift strike, he grabbed one of the men and crushed him until the forest was red with his blood. We kept shooting, hoping to kill him. We were down to 5 people.
This is a national weather warning for the state of New York. Rainstorms and heavy showers are to cover the state all night.
We kept shooting. The siren had grabbed another victim and ate him clean, removing everything that was meat and then tossing his skeleton. Stepping on another man, a crunch sound was made. We were down to 3. Siren had stomped off and we took time to retreat to the mess hall. What do we do? He killed everyone, but us. He ignored our bullets, I said, panicking. We removed this plague where it stems from. The church. It couldn't be burned. That's got to be it, said Clark. The next day we stomped off to the church, fully loaded and determined to end this being. Rain rolled in and drenched the area with fog. Just like that day. We reached the church and searched the area. This floorboard, it's loose. I opened the floorboard to a set of crude wooden stairs. We descended, guns drawn. It was the town. The sunken town sunk beneath the sinkhole and the dirt. The original post-and-kill town. The buildings had large roots in rock intertwined with the sunken masses. There was an odd chanting noise. We came to a sunken underground building. Inside were people, without eyes or tongues, chanting over and over in a cryptic language. Clark fired some buckshot into one of them, killing one. They started screeching uncontrollably and all ran at Clark. We shot a few, but even they jumped on us. They started beating us with their fist. Clark pulled something from his pocket after managing to break free from the cultist. Good luck to you all. You find this stem of evil. Take out Siren Head and everything to do with him. Come here, you freaks, he yelled before pulling a pin on a grenade. A mess of red covered the chamber. All the cultists were dead, including Clark. Entering the room through the sunken, dirt-filled tunnels, we found a dark hole filled with black tar. Coming from the hole were veins, pulsing and rising up into the ground above. I decided to dive in, as Noah kept watch. After struggling to breathe or move in the tar, I found myself in a dirt chamber. Inside was an amalgamation of bones, vile, and more black veins. In the middle of the chamber was something moving, a beating heart. Behind it were various carved statues of Siren Head. Taking the matches in the 1911, I shot the heart until its ooze leaked into a puddle. While igniting the matches, they stayed lit now. I quickly climbed out of the hole, running from the black oozing tar flooding the sunken town. We returned to him, standing outside the church. He grabbed Noah and held him within his hand. In a choked voice he said,
"You will not leave here alive. I am the embodiment of evil, and you will be sacrificed to me, just as your friends."
With all the anger left in me, I lit the beating heart below the cursed soil. He screeched the sirens once more, dropping Noah, and eventually he melted down into ooze as his beating heart, that I can only assume came from the very pits of hell that cursed the land around him and created him, was destroyed. It was over. After a long 8-hour drive covered in blood and gore, we practically ran to the hospital room towards Bradley. "What the fuck happened to you guys? Did you murder someone?" Bradley said in the hospital room. "He's gone. It's over. Everything that happened there can now be laid to rest." Bradley stared in shock at the news we told him. We were panting after running through the hospital. The hospital security took us back downstairs, and after cleaning up and telling him why we were there and giving our IDs to the security, we were allowed back in his room. Then the news played. Today, another sad story coming from Pine Ridge Campgrounds unfolds more of the mystery. 5 additional bodies were found and identified as ex-military and policemen armed with firearms, as well as the burned remains of eyeless and tongueless, mutilated, unidentifiable people within the town of historic Postonkill. The police have decided to demolish both camps and make a memorial and mass grave at the parking lot of the camp to remember all those murdered and missing from whatever caused these incidents at Pine Ridge Campgrounds. You actually did it? It's done then. Everybody is avenged? How though? Bradley asked. It's a bit of a story. When you get out of the hospital, I'll tell you the whole thing. I looked out the window. All I could see were distant steel power lines coming from the forest and down into the town of Belleville. We left his room to let him prepare for his surgery. As we left the hospital lobby, the lights flickered for a few seconds. I wondered why it did that, but it was nothing more than a tiny thought in the back of my head. So we left outside, hoping to never see Siren Head again.